Today on Carolina Week, it's not too late to cast your ballot, where early voting is still happening in Orange County. An alternative to Connect Carolina for registration, a new platform designed to make registration easier for you, where you'll find it, and what students have to say about it. And Ben Carson came to campus, sparking mixed reactions from students, how the community responded. Stay tuned. All this and more next on Carolina Week.
From the UNC Hussman School of Journalism and Media, connecting Carolina's campus and community, this is Carolina Week.
Hello and welcome to Carolina Week. My name is Keisha Frederick.
And I'm Christian Phillips. With only 1 week until Election Day, early voting is in full swing for Orange County. Our Sarah Choi is at a polling site. Sarah, what's going on?
Keisha, Christian, I'm at the Chapel of the Cross, which is just one of several polling locations. And as you can see behind me, there are lots of races going on. This is for mayor, and these are for town council. There's actually 4 town council seats. But if you have not made it out to vote yet, don't worry. You can cast your ballot anytime through the rest of this week between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays and between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. on Saturday. Polling locations are located at the Carborough Town Hall, the Seymour Senior Center, Chapel of the Cross, the Chapel Hill Library, and Orange Works at Hillsborough Commons. If you're living on or near campus, Chapel of the Cross is going to be your best option. You can just walk right over. But if you can't make it, Election Day is November 7th. Back to you.
Thank you, Sarah. As local election season continues, we will continue election coverage.
Election Day is less than a week away, and Chapel Hill and Carborough will both have new mayors by this time next week. Carolina Week reporter Walter Ranke is in studio to talk about Chapel Hill mayor's race and what you can expect to see on your ballot.
Well, as Sarah mentioned, we'd like to see one of these campaign signs in the past few months. They're everywhere, from Franklin Street to Carborough, even down MLK. Chapel Hill's mayor's race set a fundraising record, yet 40% of voters are still undecided, according to a poll earlier this month. So let's take a look at the candidates. Adam Searing has served on the Chapel Hill Town Council since 2021, and before that worked as a lobbyist for healthcare reforms in North Carolina.
People should be held accountable for their records for the last 8 years. And if you look around and you see that you're not happy with what building is going on and the lack of investment in our parks, and you want to change, then you should vote for me.
The record he's referring to is that of his opponent, Jess Anderson. Anderson has served on the Chapel Hill Town Council for 8 years and has also served as mayor pro tem. By phone, she told me her record is one of her strengths.
I have a really long history of getting things done and doing good work and working with integrity and making sure that the public can have faith in its government and have a functional government.
Anderson and Searing have different visions for the town when it comes to things like affordable housing, parks, and development. Anderson says that affordable housing is a key component of addressing the housing crisis and making Chapel Hill an inclusive community. Earlier this year, she voted in favor of a change that would allow duplexes to be built in areas that were previously only zoned for single-family homes.
I think there are a lot of people in town who could really benefit from this, and it would also mean that, we have slightly more diversity and people who may not be able to afford a single-family home but could afford half of one.
Searing voted against the change and has said that he will work to overturn it as mayor.
And the facts are that these changes, rezoning neighborhoods and then having market rate developers come in and build something else in these neighborhoods, is not going to make homes more affordable.
He wants to bring more affordable housing to Chapel Hill by funding groups like Habitat for Humanity and building university-subsidized housing on open land like the Horace Williams Airport. But the Chapel Hill mayor's race is not the only thing voters will see on their ballot. There's a crowded field for 4 open seats on the Chapel Hill Town Council. You can find more of the candidates' responses to issues you care about and more information on how to vote on our website, tarheels.live/Carolina Now News. Christian, Keisha, back to you.
Thank you, Walter. Moving to statewide politics, Representative Jeff Jackson is running for North Carolina Attorney General. The Charlotte-based Democrat made the announcement last week after new congressional maps that drew him out of his district were passed into law by the state legislature. Jackson becomes the Democratic frontrunner for the open Attorney General seat, as incumbent Josh Stein is running for governor. Jackson will likely face another sitting congressman in the general election, Representative Dan Bishop, the Republican frontrunner.
And from local to state to national politics, our community is part of the conversation. Politician Ben Carson spoke on campus last Wednesday. Our Kristen Snyder shows us the community response.
A UNC student was booed after protesting Ben Carson's views on climate change at his event this past Wednesday. Dr. Ben Carson is a renowned neurosurgeon. He was the first to separate conjoined twins at the head in 1987. Carson gained political attention with his campaign during the 2016 presidential election.
I think it's very important that students recognize that we, the American people, are not each other's enemies and don't fall prey to those who are trying to divide us on the basis of any difference that they can find. That's not why we're called the United States of America.
Turning Point USA, determined to bring more conservative voices on campus, sponsored the event and believed in the importance of having Carson on campus.
So you're bringing somebody with intelligence that people can't really ridicule on, and then obviously he is a minority, which is really huge in the conservative movement.
TPUSA chalked sidewalks and tabled in the pit to invite fellow students to listen to Carson speak and have the chance to ask questions. And students came.
I mean, the seats are filling up right now. We've opened the standby lines and the general admission, so everybody's just splitting to get in, and they're really excited.
Well, Ben Carson is a really inspirational figure, and just like when Mike Pence came, I thought it'd be very, very nice to see him in person.
UNC Democrats argue that Carson was not relevant enough to protest, but took issue with his opinions on systemic racism.
Carson likes to talk about his career as a main reason why systemic racism doesn't exist in American society. And although his story is incredible, it provides nuance to Black Americans more broadly, that nuance doesn't necessarily mean that that's an exception for millions of Black and brown people across the country.
Although Carson spoke about his disappointment with the political left, most of his speech encouraged students to apply for his web-based education and training.
Talk to the young people about the state of our country and what they can do about it, particularly one of our programs called Executive Branch for America that teaches people the ins and outs of the executive branch of government and hopefully encourage some conservative-minded students to get involved with the executive branch of our government.
And when it comes to the executive branch, Carson has now officially endorsed a candidate for 2024, Donald Trump. In Chapel Hill, I'm Kristen Snyder, Carolina Week.
Some UNC student employees are asking for higher wages. The average wage for work-study students is $12.90, according to Media Relations. TJ Edwards created the Student Employee Conditions Committee to create a minimum wage of $15 for student employees. In order to establish the minimum wage, student fees for all students would have to increase. Edwards works in the student union and says that he has to pick up side gigs in order to support himself. He says the raise would help him and many other student workers.
It would mean that I wouldn't have to go out and have this now third job that I'm doing. It would mean just a lot more financial security.
Edwards and the committee are meeting with different student employee groups and will be presenting their proposal in front of the university administration soon.
And the fight for fair wages goes beyond jobs. A group of student activists are demanding justice for farm workers. One of their goals is for Wendys to join their mission. Nayeli Jaramillo has the story.
A protest to boycott Wendys, led by Student Action for Farm Workers, also known as SAF, left 5 protesters stranded with slashed tires.
I don't know what their intention was. I don't know. They were angry at us. That's the only thing I know.
According to the police report, a police officer arrived at a Wendys located on North Duke Street in Durham and reported vandalism and damage to 5 cars. SAF is a nonprofit organization that promotes justice in the agriculture and health system for farm workers and their families. Maria Juarez, a youth organizing director with SAF, said she was disappointed with the outcome.
We just seen kind of someone yelling, we were ignoring it. They were coming from the drive-through, and she was saying a bunch of a lot of things of I know y'all are poor, your mom was poor, your daddy's poor, whatever. And she said, why don't you take it up with McDonald's?
But she said that McDonald's is actually part of the Fair Foods program, along with Taco Bell, Burger King, Trader Joe's, Walmart, and others. The program is a partnership among farmers, farm workers, and retail food companies that ensure humane wages and working conditions. Wendys has yet to join. Boycotters have targeted Wendys since 2016 because it has not signed up for the program that strives to improve the rights of agriculture supply chain workers.
So we have a chant that's like 4 for 4, how about 1 cent more? It really doesn't cost them anything, but they just like hard labor for cheap.
Nancy Garcia, a UNC sophomore and intern, said she will continue to fight for farm workers' rights.
Just protesting is a risk to your legal status. So for me, I have the privilege of being an American citizen. So like I do have that protected right. And yes, that isn't without the fear that I'll be threatened, but because this is an important cause to me and my family.
Juarez said that although it escalated badly, they will continue to persevere because it's a fight worth fighting for.
It's definitely important to realize where your food comes from. There's a story behind every vegetable, behind every fruit, behind every meat, whatever it is, gallon of milk. There's a story, there's a set of hands that can barely feed their own family.
We reached out to Wendys but did not get a response. In Chapel Hill, I'm Nayeli Jaramillo Plata.
We're going to take a quick break. When we return, it's registration time. While most students head to Connect Carolina to register, one student decided to take a different route. We'll be right back.
Even though we didn't grow up together, he's my favorite brother.
Hey, sis.
I'm the baby of the family, and he's the gentle giant.
What you know about Port Georgia? Man, please, that's a classic.
You know when they say people are a rare breed? Yeah, he's that.
I'm sorry, I'll be back in a few hours. Don't worry, Shug, you know I'm for you. I know. Go get the football.
That was my favorite memory. He was always for you. This is a true story of me, Bridget Floyd, and this guy, George Perry Floyd Jr., my big brother.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. While many are preoccupied with election season, students at Carolina are busy with registration season.
And most students turn to Connect Carolina to register for their courses next semester. One student decided to a potential alternative to the commonly detested registration process. Muhsin Mahmoud has the story.
For sophomore student Am Kantapati, searching for classes using Connect Carolina was hard work. He thought the site was outdated and not user-friendly. That's when he thought of developing an alternative called Classmate, and
I decided to bring it out to the entire UNC community.
Classmate is a new platform that aims to make registering for classes easier. Though students can't officially enroll into them, it offers filters to select class difficulty and promises a simpler user interface compared to Connect Carolina.
But when I thought that I had the power to change maybe even a small aspect of the UNC experience, such as course registration, for the better, I felt like it's my duty to try to carry on that.
Sophomore Seth Judge turned to Classmate. Using Connect Carolina, he says, has been his biggest pet peeve.
I had no idea how to use it.
He says it was most challenging during the summer before his freshman year.
It felt like I was literally closing my eyes and throwing a dart at a dartboard, trying to figure out what classes I can get.
Judge feels like sending a complaint wouldn't do anything.
It's been this way for years and they haven't changed it. What is one email from me gonna do?
And that's where Daniel Lee, the head of marketing, wants to be different.
I guess our users feel heard because when they complain about Connect Carolina, nothing really changes year to year. But if they talk to us about the changes they want to see, we can implement it within a few days, a few weeks, and then they can use that next registration period.
For Kintapati and Lee, their plan now is to go further with other schools. They hope to expand Classmate to Duke University in the coming weeks. Muhsin Mahmood, Carolina Week, Chapel Hill.
Muhsin is now in studio joining us. Welcome to the show. So we've been hearing about some concerns students have with Connect Carolina. Where does the registrar's office stand on this?
Yes, certainly. So I had a discussion with the Associate University Registrar regarding these concerns. According to them, the user interface on Connect Carolina is something that's outside of their control. Major software changes, which could be multi-million-dollar decisions, is something that's the responsibility of high-level university staff.
So do you think there's a problem that needs to be fixed?
Well, the registrar makes the argument that their classes get filled in year out every single semester, and so clearly it does work. The learning curve is there, that's something that he admitted, but if it was really that bad, they'd be inundated with calls and a flood of complaints, and that simply isn't the case, he said.
Wow, well, thank you so much for joining us. Let's turn straight to the weather with meteorologist Nick Boynton.
Yeah, absolutely, and we went from October to November overnight, but it certainly feels like January out there, okay? And you can see with our surface map currently across the entire United States, mainly quiet weather for everyone here. This high pressure sticking with us here over the entire East Coast. You can see that cold front that moved by earlier yesterday, and now all we have in its wake is these blustery and very cold conditions. You can see with our temperatures out there right now, 45 degrees as you step out of your classrooms here. And as we warm up here by 3 p.m., only to 50 degrees though. So very, very chilly here for this time of year. We cool down a little bit by 6 p.m. to about 49. Now, how cold are these temperatures in terms of what we are used to be dealing with? Normal times, we should be at 68 degrees this time of year. So it's significantly below average here. Our low time temperature is around 44. We're forecasting a high of 50 and 31 for our low. That almost breaks the record for the coldest high temperature for November 1st in our area. You can see the records here. We're still a little bit above that record low temperature, but still going below freezing tonight. So the growing season has officially ended tonight as we dip below that 32 degree threshold. As we head throughout the week, though, you can see on Friday that high pressure is starting to eke out of the East Coast here, and that means we'll start to moderate our temperatures as we head throughout the work week. You can see our temperatures for our highs on Friday as we head towards later on in the week. You can see that here with our next slide, how all of the temperatures mostly in the low to mid 60s here, and that is going to continue, but overnight lows are looking to be more towards that freezing mark. As you can see here with our next slide, you can see most of the area here still dealing with those below freezing temperatures or near freezing temperatures for the overnight hours as we head toward later on in the week. You can see with our 5-day forecast, though, it's winter time here for Wednesday and Thursday. We slowly start to warm up here Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, though. Rebounding back here into the 70s here for your Sunday. Now remember, on Sunday we bring our clocks back an hour, so we gain an hour of sleep, but we do lose an hour of daytime. Keisha and Christian, hope you guys are ready for that time change.
Oh my goodness, that extra hour of sleep. Well, thank you, Nick, so much. One thing that always warms me up during these cold days is a warm cup of hot chocolate and sitting by a bonfire. But remember, fire safety should always be a top priority. UNC safety teams have been on campus reaching out to the community to spread the message. Our very own Noelle Harris shares this story.
Fire safety. It's a top priority for this team, and this is how they're spreading the message.
We're just out here trying to make people more comfortable with the use of a fire extinguisher so that they'll be ready, willing, and able to use one in a real emergency.
Not only is he here to teach students how to use the fire extinguisher, but he's also hoping they'll download the Carolina Safety app. At this demonstration, they gave away safety kits and t-shirts in exchange for a download of the app.
It's great. It's always good trying to see people, actually willing to learn about things that are important for their health and well-being and for the safety of the campus.
Justin Miller is the management coordinator for the UNC Office of Emergency. He said the skills that Carolina Ready teaches can help in a variety of situations by providing emergency contact information and take action guides.
You know how to evacuate your building if the fire alarm's going off. So if you know what to do there, if you know how to shelter in place, like the tornado warning, and if you know how to secure in place, that can get you through the majority of the emergencies that could happen.
According to the 2023 Annual Security and Fire Safety Report, there have been 12 campus housing fires since 2020, and out of those 12, 10 of them were stovetop fires. Sierra Flynn Nesbitt said while she has not caused a fire, she has set off a couple of alarms in her dorm.
Sometimes when I cook in my little dorm kitchen, I set off the fire alarm, so, you know, it's a lot of scares.
Scares, the experts say, are often preventable. Reporting for Carolina Week, I'm Noelle Harris.
And while Carolina Ready encourages fire safety this holiday season, the state of North Carolina is encouraging driver's safety. The governor has established a new holiday, Buckle Up, Phone Down, to bring attention to the dangers of distracted driving. Our Mayor Fomet spoke with a driver instructor in the area about this preventable hazard.
Even and not paying attention.
Paquita Gardner is a driving instructor at Above Average Driving School in Durham.
Blind spot mirror, those, they work, but they don't work better than your own looking over your right shoulder, looking over your shoulder yourself.
Governor Cooper signed a new effort in North Carolina to promote driver safety on roads.
Sure you look to your left very good before you go, because you do not have the right of way.
According to the North Carolina Department of Transportation, over 1,000 crashes were caused by cell phone usage in 2022.
So I don't text and drive, but I feel like sometimes I eat and drive, which probably isn't the best.
Or just any sort of like email notifications or things that come through there. Music is another big one.
The National Highway and Traffic Administration also recommends selecting radio programs beforehand and not eating to limit distractions. State data also says the number of accidents arise during the holiday season. While on the road, Garner has a few words for drivers.
Most importantly, never speed. Better late than never. Take your time.
Carolina Week, Mayor Fomet.
Buckle Up, Phone Down Day was on October 25th, not to be confused with National Seatbelt Day, which will be on November 14th. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll be joined by Sports Extra anchor Caroline Daly for a look at the exciting week ahead in Carolina athletics.
I'm an Xtra dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Can you see anything different as a pill? No. You don't know?
Fentanyl is being mixed into everything now. There's only one thing that will save somebody's life. That is naloxone nasal spray.
Fentanyl, it's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
Why would drug dealers put a lethal dose of fentanyl in drugs if they know it's so harmful?
Really just all about the money.
I just didn't realize that one pill could change your whole life.
More kids should know.
Welcome back to Carolina Week.
While the football team has had a rough loss this weekend, quarterback Drake May is still succeeding on the field. Let's go to Sports Extra anchor Caroline Daly for more. Caroline?
Thanks, guys. Football's Drake May is now in the 2023 Davey O'Brien quarterback class, officially in contention to be named college football's best signal caller. Despite a rocky start to the season, the sophomore quarterback has improved his numbers and continued to impress this season. His fourth in the nation 319.9 yards per game has been good enough to earn him a top spot among the 35 quarterbacks. We are now waiting to hear who will be selected among the 16 semifinalists on November 14th. The ACC field hockey all-conference teams are packed with Tar Heels. In Erin Matson's first year as head coach, it's clear she knows how to bring out the best in her players. Sophomore Riley Heck is on the first team as a forward, and sophomore Sietske Bruning is on the first team for her performance at midfield. Junior Kelly Smith is on the second team at backfield, and freshman Charlie Bruder is on the second team as a forward. The Heels look to continue the success as they gear up for tournament play. For the second consecutive year, a Tar Heel won the ACC Freshman of the Year award. Charlie Bruder is the latest to win it. Bruder took the ACC by storm in her freshman campaign, being the 10th UNC field hockey player to win ACC Freshman of the Year. She helped lead the team to ACC regular season titles with strong finishes on goals. She led the Tar Heels with 3 game-winning goals in the regular season and tied with Riley Heck for the team lead with 8 goals. Carolina field hockey will travel to Charlottesville to play Virginia in an ACC semifinals battle today. Hot off a thrilling Friday takedown of the Blue Devils, top-seeded Carolina will be seeking revenge on Virginia, a team that previously beat them 3-2 in Charlottesville. The Heels will have their work cut out for them on the offensive side of the turf, with ACC first team Adele Akabuchi, who made a game-saving defensive play versus Duke. Momentum was key in the Heels' win on Friday, spearheaded by senior Katie Dixon. Wednesday offers the Heels a chance at redemption in round 2 for a spot in the ACC championship game. The 7th-seeded men's soccer team will take on Virginia Tech tonight at Dorrance Field in the first round of the ACC tournament. UNC has been shut out in 4 of its past 5 ACC games. The Tar Heels hope to get graduate midfielder Quincy Ehrman back from injury. He missed the season finale against Virginia. He's the team's top goal scorer, and he'll be needed to help the UNC offense get back on track against the worst scoring defense in the ACC, allowing an average of 2.31 goals per game. The two teams drew 1-1 back on September 8th. Tune in to Sports Extra on Friday for a preview of another exciting weekend of Carolina athletics. We'll be right back.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. What's right or wrong? It's the one that says, sure, have a drink, or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking, now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed, better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead, catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Today, we face an unprecedented crisis. Tens of millions of refugees have been forced from their homes. But you can make a difference. Turn disruption and despair to hope and opportunity. Even small amounts make a big difference. Provide shelter, support, or jobs in your community. The more we understand, the greater sense of belonging we create. Act now. Visit supportcrisisrelief.org.
This crisp fall weather makes for perfect hiking weather.
Oh, absolutely. For this week's Covering Carolina, I traveled to one of the largest reservoirs in the southeastern United States, located just an hour outside of Chapel Hill. It's the perfect getaway. Take a look.
Welcome to Carr Lake, and boy is it big.
It's about 850 miles of shoreline if you count all the way around the lake.
And it's not just in our state.
Well, the lake is in both North Carolina and Virginia.
And the Virginians have a different name for it.
In Virginia, theoretically it's Carr Lake, but they like to call it Bugs Island. I'm given to understand that the folks in Virginia were not happy with the fact that the lake was being named after somebody from North Carolina when half the lake is in Virginia.
The lake's impressive dam is also in Virginia.
The dam is on the Roanoke River in Mecklenburg County, Virginia, just a couple miles north of the state line with North Carolina. It was built between 1947 and 1952 by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Back on the lake, there's plenty for people to do.
Lots of campsites. We have over 600 campsites between all of our different areas. A lot of people come here to go fishing. There's one designated swim area. We don't necessarily say, hey, come on up here for swimming purposes. But people do, and we don't tell them they can't. We just tell them, hey, be careful, there's no lifeguards, make sure that you're safe.
For those looking to escape their busy lifestyles for a relaxing day on the water, Carr Lake is definitely the place for you. Reporting for Carolina Week from Vance County, I'm Christian Phillips.
That was an amazing story. It is beautiful. The scenery is beautiful. So about the camping. Are people camping out there? It's cold.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny. They were actually sold out last week. So despite the colder weather, they're still very busy.
Wow. Well, I heard him say something about there are no lifeguards. Are there any other safety instructions we need to know about?
Absolutely. The superintendent was very clear on this one. If you're going to be on the water, please wear a life jacket. It's not worth the risk.
Yeah. And is there fishing?
Lots of it.
Lots of it. Well, that does it for this week's edition of Carolina Week. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.